was a very psychodynamically oriented psychotherapist. And I had a very difficult OCD patient at the time, a lady who developed this illness at the age of 15. I used to live in Madras, now called Chennai. Her elder brother, who ended up being a very well-known scientist in this country later years, had developed typhoid fever. As some of the old traditional methods of healing, she was asked to go to a neighbor's house to collect from the recently delivered mother breast milk, which is soaked in a towel, put in the forehead for the fever to come down. Strange, but this practice was prevalent in those days. She did as she was asked. She was all of 15. And a week or two later, she and the family came to know that the lady from whom the milk was collected had suffered from tuberculosis, pulmonary tuberculosis. The fever came down, typhoid recovered, but she suddenly started having doubts whether she had given typhoid by this application of milk to her brother. The thought would not go. She kept repeatedly asking for reassurances from everybody around that I have not given, I brought this milk, I did this, I hope I have not given typhoid to my brother, blah, blah, blah. Went on for years. She was extremely distressed and she would run around screaming and asking for reassurance, first from the family members, from all and sundry. And she was even treated with, in 70s, remember, by a very, very well-known psychiatrist in Chennai with chlorpromazine to control her behavior. They settled down in Bangalore. Her husband was a scientist in a very well-known national institute. So they came to see me, and those days, some of you may recollect, the only available medication was imipramine, and you gave imipramine and you prayed. So this case was discussed with my professor. He said, I think we must do dynamic therapy with her. I said, okay, what do we do? He said, there was a couch. I don't know whether it is still there in the building opposite. And I used to sit in a chair at the head of the couch. Week after week, for 50 plus weeks, she would come every Friday between 3 and 4. I would sit and record everything she uttered. I had bound thick, full-scale notebooks, several of them filled with everything she said. He said, note down everything she says, note down what your thoughts were, note down what your emotional feelings were, and come and discuss with me after every 4 to 5 sessions, which I faithfully did. Several sessions later, one day, I sneezed during the therapy. And I said, oh, I must be faithful and record it. I wrote, I sneezed. My professor said, so, what was it all about? Read again the preceding few sentences. So I did. So, what made you sneeze? I said the room had not been swept for 4 days. He was not very pleased, obviously. He thought I was trying to be I was trivializing a very serious therapeutic encounter. At the end of several sessions, we concluded that enough is enough. Did the patient improve? What was the prognosis? She did not, but I did. What was the improvement? Taught me patience, taught me to record, taught me to listen, taught me to understand silence, taught me to handle pause, and taught me to think when the silence is happening, don't be in a hurry to intervene. Fast forward, few years afterwards, for the first time in Europe, clofranil in the name of anafranil was released. It had not been released in the USA, it came in much later. This being a scientist and he had some contacts, I read the literature about anafranil being used for clomipramine being used for OCD. I asked him to import it. He got it. Bingo! 4 weeks later, most of our symptoms disappeared. There was a lesson. Because if somebody had told me this was a possibility, a medication, because those days, remember, our ideas about OCD were very, very different. And today, seeing the tremendous advancement in the brain and the scans and the colors and able to delineate, it's a learning in itself. If anybody had told me this medication, a tablet, would actually improve this kind of symptoms, I may not have believed, but today we know what it is worth. So having said that, there was a lesson in learning in the same institution which I learned and I taught and I enjoyed being here. Now to Suresh, he's going to talk about is the prognosis of OCD different in India compared to what? And Dr. Suresh. Thank you.